Welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig, and we have Dan Rogers today. He is an acclaimed singer and songwriter, and his uncle, you know him well, is Kenny Rogers. We are so happy to have you here, Dan.
Thank you. It's great to be with you. I've known about you for a long time.
Oh, really? Oh my God, I'm so flattered.
Yeah.
I'm so flattered. Well, I hope you'll still talk to me because I have no musical ability. Zero.
That's okay. I don't either. I just fake it really good.
It's not in my genes, but it's certainly in yours. You come from a long line of musicians dating back to your grandfather.
I think, and even beyond that, I know my grandfather. Of course, I knew my granddad and loved him. He played fiddle. His brothers all played stringed instruments. And the saying was up around Apple Springs, Texas, that when the Rogers men got together, a good time was had by all.
Oh, well, I can see you are such a lovely person. And you just released a new song, a new single and video called Lessons in Love. And this was very personal for you. You wrote that this was based on very heartfelt feelings to convey a message for those contemplating the difficult decision to have an abortion. This is a political hot button. What got you to dive into this area for a single?
You know, Robi, I wrote this song about 12 years ago. I had worked myself up to a 40-day fast, 3 days, 10 days, 21 days, and then 40. And I hadn't written anything in a couple of years, and I needed to do this fast. And I rented this funky little dive in Newport Beach, and I took a laptop, 8 guitars, an air mattress, a pillow, a cafeteria table, 2 metal chairs, and I spent 40 days writing. And this song came out of it. Now, I didn't record it because I felt like it's just too sensitive of a topic. But about a year ago, I started getting this nagging feeling, and I had released an album. I was looking for something else to do. So I called my old friend Bill Como and said, I want to do this as an art piece. I had the idea for the ballerina to bring beauty to the pain in the video. And it was time for me. And it just happened to become a political hot button at the same time. But it's important that people know that I wrote it from a standpoint of empathy, from a man watching a woman having to make this decision. And I was able to pull on some earlier experiences in my life. I went through that abortion process with an old girlfriend, and it was difficult. It was the best thing for her at the time in her life. But I was able, once I got into the song, I didn't sit down to write a song about a girl having an abortion. The song just fell out of me in the process of writing it. I realized, oh, I can relate to this. So I was able to craft the song in a way that hopefully does. I've never had a negative comment yet about it. People are absolutely overwhelmed, and it's impactful. And I'm grateful for that. So it was a sensitive topic. I didn't want to offend any woman out there, but I think the way I delivered it was the way it needed to be delivered.
It's so interesting because when I was listening to the song and listening to some of the things you said about the song, what I loved is your message was not judgmental. In fact, you said, I just wanted to give women an option to think through and to give them an opportunity to think if they can be a loving mother to their child, that is an option. And I love the way you phrase that because we know there are all different kinds of mothers. And you were focused on if you could be a loving mother.
Yes, I told my wife and I told my team, I said, look, I know this is a sensitive topic and I'm probably going to get some slings and arrows out of this thing. But if one woman sees this video and is contemplating abortion and doesn't go through with it and then falls in love with her child, then the song will have served a higher purpose. And so I didn't set out to write a song about a woman contemplating abortion. As an artist, it was part of my process that came out of me. But so I think I'm hoping somewhere down the line that I get to meet somebody that says that song helped me make this decision. That would be the ultimate for me.
I have no doubt that you will. And when I was hearing about your process of fasting to release you from feeling blocked when you write, or to tap into that inner creativity. It almost sounded to me like you were a channel. And I really believe, as a therapist, when you are doing what you're meant to do, when you're plugged into your talent, then you really are a channel for others.
Agreed with that. I've always said music comes through me, it is not of me. I'm writing my next single now. I'm getting on a plane a week from today and going to Nashville for a week to hide out in the woods in a studio with my producer. And I'm writing this new single. And I'm kind of blown. It's just driving me crazy. I'm waking up in the middle of the night singing this chorus on this thing. And so I know that I've got to go somewhere and be still and be quiet and get in that mode and just trust the process and let the spirit come through me. There's nothing original about me. That's for sure.
Well, I doubt that, but I want to focus a little bit on your relationship with the famous Kenny Rogers, who was one of the stars in your family and your uncle. And he was very supportive of your career. In fact, made you commit to a promise before his death in 2020.
Yeah, he was here in Newport Beach. I live in Newport Beach, California. He was here on his farewell tour. We spent the afternoon together. His kids were there, my brothers and sisters. We had a family reunion, and it was wonderful. And I had just had my first #1 record, and we were just the two of us and alone in the dressing room. He said, "I hear you just had a #1 record. I want to hear it. Send it to me, please." And he said, "Dan, you got to get back out there and play," because I haven't been playing live. I've done a couple of things, a PBS special and a few things. And I said, Unc, I called him Unc. I kept shortening it from Uncle Kenny to Uncle. Next time I see you, it'll be but I said, I'm going to let you finish up. I know you're on your farewell tour. And I could see that he was just worn out, tired. And so I made him he said, "You got to get back out there and play." And I said, "I'm going to release a new album next year, and I'll carry on. I feel the obligation to pick up the torch and carry on for a while. And I have sons that are great songwriters and others in our family that are talented. I think Kenny probably more than me because he was older than me, but we are the two that work the hardest at our careers." And so I did tell him I'm going to get back out there, and I'm thinking about touring this year and putting a show together and carrying on for a while.
And you certainly did. In fact, at one point, you were singing and writing songs and out there, and you and your uncle were on the billboards at the same time. He had a #5 song and you had a #6 song.
We were the first two relatives ever to enter the Billboard Top 10 at the same time. He was #5 with Coward of the County, and I was #6 with Looks Like Love Again. And this would be 1979 or 80, I believe, back in, yeah. And that was a thrill. And we would cross each other in airports in those days, hey. He would be going this way. But if we were in the same town, we would always make the effort to get together. And no matter how big of a star he became, I have had people say, "What was it like having Kenny Rogers for an uncle?" And I said, "Well, do you have an uncle?" And they went, "I think that's what it was like. We're a family." So, it wasn't Kenny Rogers for me, it was Unc. And so we had a very normal family relationship.
It's beautiful. I have an uncle who is famous locally, a famous weatherman. And, he was my uncle. I was so proud of him and still am, but he truly was my uncle. And we do have a close relationship. And it's a wonderful gift when you can have that type of relationship with someone you admire, somebody who can contribute to your life in such an impactful way. I want to mention, because you actually were noted by John Lennon, who was he was a fan of your work.
Yeah. Great story. 15 years old, writing a song with a family friend in our living room. A young, good-looking African-American guy walks in and hears it, says, "I'm Johnny Nash. I have a record coming out called I Can See Clearly Now, but I want to record that song." And I said, "Of course." So he took it to England, cut it at the Beatles studio, And he told me the story, and I didn't believe him, but his wife repeated the story a week later over lunch. And I was like, Johnny said that. I didn't believe him. Apparently, John Lennon walked in and heard the final version as they were mixing it. And Johnny said he turned around, he heard this voice in the back of the room say, "That's the most beautiful, bloody song I've ever heard in my life." And he said, I turned around, and that was John Lennon with his arms folded and his eyes shut, listening to this song. And he said, I said, a 15-year-old kid in Nashville wrote that. And John Lennon said, you tell him I said, that's the most beautiful, bloody song I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, how incredible. How incredible.
I tell everybody I started at the top and worked my way down in the business. The Beatles send you a message. Where do you go from there, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, you've worked with many of the greats, and you are truly a great in your own right. I just wanted to ask you what music means to you, because I was reading a quote that you said, and it just was so beautiful.
Well, in my life, music saved my life. I grew up, had a difficult time as a young child, a very abusive mother. So I suffered from trauma and PTSD all of my life. So I tell people, the music saved my life. It helped me outrun my fear for 5 minutes at a time. When I was singing a song, performing, I could outrun my fears. Music is love. And I said this in a recent interview, I think American Songwriter Magazine I did, where I said, music is love. All you have to do is tap into it. And how beautiful is that? So I feel like music is such a universal language and so important. It penetrates the soul. It transcends you emotionally. I mean, who doesn't love music, whatever kind of music you like?
It brings us together, don't you think? It's like something we all react to, and it can lift our mood. And in some cases, it's the it serves as the background for our lives. When we think about certain music, it brings us back to an important period in our lives, or just can bring such incredible joy. And it's such an important skill. It really is, to be able to share that talent and have people respond to it. And for you to be able to write about things that really matter to you is a true blessing.
Music has been therapy for me, to be honest with you. It was my way of, when you grow up with PTSD and you're filled with this anger because you can't express yourself and it turns to depression, music was my place I went to, that I knew I was gifted. I knew I had been anointed early in my life with the ability to create songs, write songs, and perform and watch the people respond to them. And I knew at an early age I had that gift, but it saved my life. It was my way of expressing myself and being accepted by people external from my family. When somebody walks up to me and says, my gosh, I saw that video you did, oh my gosh. And that to me is just, that approval it just pierces my heart. And I just think it humbles me, really. I hear people saying good things about my music because they have no idea the pain that I went through to be able to write that music. It was an escape for me, but it saved my life. I really believe that. I can't imagine my life without it.
Well, there is a field called music therapy. And I often feel, when I'm listening to beautiful music that I relate to or that inspires me, it is a form of therapy. It kind of lifts you out of yourself and almost helps you put your feelings that maybe you're not able to describe into words. That's what great songwriters do. They help us clarify our feelings and thoughts, and in some cases, our decisions.
That's correct. Hopefully this new record, it's Lesson in Love. Hopefully this new record will help somebody with making that difficult decision. Look, I'm both pro-choice and pro-life. I believe this. That is your body right there. God gave that body to you. And no human being, no government entity or religious organization, in my opinion, has a right to tell you what you can and can't do with a body God gave to you. That's a moral decision between you and your God if you're going to abort this child or fetus. That's between you and God. You have to live with that decision. So I have great empathy for women going through, I went through that process, as I said earlier in my life with a girlfriend, and it affected me. Neither one of us felt real good about ourselves,
Mm.
but it was the right choice for her to do at that point in her life. And I had to respect her and her body. And
Well, that's why you are exactly the right person to share your experience with the world through a beautiful song, which we will also share with our audience. What's next for you, Dan Rogers?
well, I'm getting on a plane next Monday. I'm going to go to Nashville for a week. And I've lived in Nashville half of my life and LA half of my life. So I'm going to Nashville, and Bill Como has a studio on his farm outside of Nashville. And I'm going to take my old ranch boots and go ride horses and work on this new single, and then do another video. I think I'm going to do 2 more singles this year and 2 videos, and that's it for me this year, because nobody listens to albums anymore. It's all about singles. So yeah, I'm going to Nashville to work on this single, and then come back to Newport Beach and enjoy the good life.
Sounds like a good plan. And I hope you will come back to share whatever singles you've written with me, because you are an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you and get your single?
I'm selling them out of the trunk of my car. No, I'm just kidding. They go to all the digital outlets. Nobody's dealing in physical inventory anymore. So go to Spotify, go to Apple, go to all your usual outlets, go to YouTube and watch this video, and judge for yourself. Hopefully,
beautiful.
I haven't had one negative comment, Robbie. Not one negative comment. Nobody, from young girls 13 years old to grandfathers 75 years old. And this video affects men in a way I thought it would. We did a little focus group, sent it out to 50 people, ages 13 to 75. Not one, it was impactful, not one negative comment. That I'm grateful for.
Oh my goodness, that's like unheard of. So you're on the right track, because you're really fair and diplomatic in the way you present this very important issue, right? That affects so many lives. And it's, again, God bless you. And it is a pleasure and an honor for me to meet you. And I hope it's not the last time. And I want to thank our Talking Live audience and encourage you to go to Dan Rogers' website. We'll be sharing his single so you can enjoy it as much as I have.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.